For decades, going all the way back to the 60s and on into the 70s, we've always heard the story of Mustang versus Camaro, and then you throw Challenger into the mix. And it's been that way decades since. People like to talk about those three cars in the same sentences. There's been stops along the way for the Camaro and the Challenger, but they're all three here now, and they've been here for a few years. Now, ever since the third generation Challenger arrived on the scene, I've never felt that it really belonged in the same conversation as those other two cars. Those were pony cars that have become world-class sports cars, and they really have. The Challenger has stayed very true to its muscle car heritage. In fact, I would argue that this is a grand touring modern muscle car, and I'm going to show you why. Now, we're not dealing with no base V6 Challenger. We got the SRT 392. We've got a big hood scoop. We've got this absolutely gorgeous B5 blue paint, which has been around forever and lets you know you're dealing with the Chrysler product. And it looks great with these satin black stripes. The wheels are massive and wrapped in Pirelli P0 tires, and they look great. This is a look that you can kind of see on other powerful Chrysler products throughout the family. You've got this great lower chin splitter down here. You've got the badge so everybody on the street knows what you're dealing with under the hood. But when you take a look at the car as a whole, it looks very much like it did back in the 70s. And that's awesome, because those cars were so cool and they looked great. This is just an updated version of that, and I love the way that Dodge keeps making this look like this. Under the hood here, Dodge is letting it all hang out. This isn't covered with a bunch of plastic. There are a little bit of plastics, and these simulate old-fashioned head covers, and they look great, and they let you know that this is a 392 cubic inch Hemi V8 engine. That translates to 6.4 liters, and it further translates to 485 horsepower and 475 pound-feet of torque. Now you can back that engine up with an 8-speed automatic gearbox, and it's a wonderful unit from ZF. This one though, this one's got the 6-speed. There are other options in the Challenger family. You can go lower with the V6, which is actually making good power, but it's not the V8. And then you can step all the way up, obviously, to the Hellcat. This though is plenty for the average person. Now inside, you're going to find a very different cockpit than you would if you were in a classic Challenger. That's obvious. You're finding one that is still driver focused, and with this 6-speed manual gearbox shift lever right here, it's wonderful. We don't have a pistol grip, but this round ball top will do nicely. The seats are nicely bolstered and comfortable, and they accept all body sizes. This is an American car, so you might get some wider fellows in here, but you're gonna be fine. There's plenty of headroom for me at 6'3". I do like these seats a little bit better when they're fitted with the Napa leather. It's just a really good looking car. But the blacked out center section looks great. The gauges have a retro look to them, but are very easy to read. This 8.4 inch touchscreen right here looks and works perfectly. This is the Uconnect system, and Dodge and Chrysler have been doing great things with this, and it's backed up by Sprint technology, which makes sense that it works well because Sprint knows how to handle smartphones. So this is essentially like a nice smartphone placed here. It connects to your actual smartphone quickly. It's got tons of apps, it's got easy features, and everything is right here and easy to use right at your hand. But when you forget about that, you fire up the car, and that's when the real fun starts. There's something wonderful about sitting in the driver's seat of a modern Challenger with a massive V8 and a manual gearbox. Now, that ZF 8-speed is actually fantastic. It's one of my favorite automatics out there on the market. It just works and works well. But something old school cool about the manual gearbox. And the clutch is nice and heavy. It's appropriately weighted for that big beefy V8 up under the hood. The steering is fine. This handles much better than you would expect once you get it into some twisty stuff. People look at this and see a big heavy car. And it is a big heavy car, but they've done a great job of transforming the suspension over the course of the life of the third generation car. It's a much better setup out back, and that allows for better cornering and actually fun on racetracks. You can slide this thing around. You can have a lot of fun with this car, whether you're just cruising down your local, Main Street drag strip area, or you're just running it through the canyons, or if you're really adventurous, take it to a racetrack. There's enough headroom for a helmet on head for tall people, and that's great. Dodge is in fact so confident in the capabilities of this car, they've built in a bunch of modes in a system called the SRT pages. There's the standard mode, there's a custom mode so you can adjust traction control, suspension, and steering, but then there's sport and track, and it just firms up the action, lets the rear end either get a little bit loosey-goosey in sport, or actually keeps the action really tight in track. So if you want to have sliding fun time, put it in sport. If you want to maintain your line and hit that apex, keep it in track. When you want to haul everything down, just put the middle pedal to the floor, and you're gonna stomp on some big old Brembo brakes hiding behind those massive 20-inch wheels with their 275 series Pirelli tires. You're going to slow down quickly. So earlier I mentioned that I feel like the Challenger has drifted away from the Mustang Camaro, or more appropriately that the Mustang and the Camaro have drifted away onto more of a world-class sports car level, whereas this is a grand touring muscle car. You can tell it's a muscle car, but it's also comfortable. It gets surprisingly good fuel economy on the highway. You'll be in the mid to high 20s easily when you're in 6th gear. But all of this doesn't come cheap, and that's another way it's managed to separate itself from the Camaro and the Mustang, though you can buy expensive versions of those cars now. If you want this car, the SRT 392 Challenger, it starts at the high 40s. This one as equipped is about 52, so you're over the $50,000 mark. And that separates some of the demographic who are shopping for this car. Whereas a $30,000 Mustang seems like a great buy, and it is, as is the new Camaro, which is a car I love, and I've never loved past versions of the Camaro. The Challenger gets the buyer who is certain that they want the Challenger, otherwise you wouldn't be spending this much money. It's clear that you want that. So I feel like it's a very different customer. At this point, you're almost thinking, do I want the Challenger or do I want the Charger? That's a conversation people are probably gonna have, even though they're a coupe and a sedan. But now, if you wanna row your own, you need to get this one because there's no manual option for the Charger. So the Ford Mustang and the Chevy Camaro have evolved this way, and the Challenger has sort of held the straight and narrow. It is a modern grand touring muscle car. It is comfortable. It has great tech features in it. It has a great 18-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, but it also has a big-ass engine. It also has a manual gearbox available. It also lights those rear tires up like it's its job, and it sort of is its job, and that's why it's wonderful. Long live the Challenger.